Okay, so now we're on to my previous job, which was metal fabrication and assembly. It was truck caps, and we primarily assembled the side doors. It was aluminum assembly, a lot of bending. Couldn't be scratches on the product. You had to pound out the frames, drill, pop rivet brackets on, so on and so forth. Crimp, a lot of manual labor. It was really bad when I was there the first 3 years, and then when I came back for my last three, things became more pneumatic. It was a bit easier with the crimping and bending. I'll give it that. It was still a lot of intense labor because you had to hit a quota. They always wanted more and more. That was the downfall to it. They always want more. If you get 30 of these things out a day, they want 35. These 35, they want 40, 45, 50. It'll never stop. It's corporate greed. It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. But the pros of it, it was close. People that drove an hour out to get there, I get you need a job, but that blew my mind. It was very, very close to me. You had your typical labor benefits, your paid time off. The pay wasn't terrible for the area with the cost of living. I became a lead. I bumped up pretty quick my second time around because of experience. The work I did, if you took the average person and put them on it, they would absolutely hate it, but I was numb to it. I was good at it. So it didn't bother me. It was just like another day, I was desensitized to that too, just like I was in the oil field. Like a lot of hammering frames down, drilling. From the outside looking in, it definitely looks like a crap job. There's no doubt about it. But you need money, and I committed to it, and I got very good at it. And after a while, I didn't mind it. But I always knew at the end of the day, it was a crap job, And for the cost of living in my area, I made out great. The pros, for the most of the part, we hit our quota every day. Me and my girlfriend, which she's now my fiance, well, at the time she was my girlfriend, we met there. We fell in love there, so I'm grateful for that. And we currently work at our new job together in distribution, and we make out way better now, and we still work together the same shift, same days off. We got very lucky, and everything worked out for the better. But she was very good. She became a better assembler than me. I was more of a skinner in there the last 2 years, and she assembled. She became the fastest assembler in the whole place. I was for a while, and she got faster than me. She's an amazing worker. And we pulled it off because of our speed, and we overachieved in there. And what happens at these jobs, when you overachieve and do a lot of work, they want you to do more work or do other people's work. And we wouldn't do other people's work, so they would let us leave on time. We'd usually leave after 8 hours every day. There were exceptions when they forced overtime and all this, but we would leave early all the time. We would get our work done. Now, in hindsight, we should have milked it and made more money, but we just got our stuff done and left. And management knew we weren't gonna help slackers. There's a lot of some of these labor jobs, there's a lot of drug addicts. There's a lot of lazy people that just have a record that cannot get in anywhere else. That's just the way it is. I'm not judging. And this particular job had a lot of druggies, a lot of lazy people. The turnover was terrible. It just is what it is. And that's what the workforce is like in there. And it's funny because the owner's a billionaire. He owns a bunch of businesses, so on and so forth. But I'm there. I was sober in there for 2 years. Yeah. Till I left. I wasn't drinking and I got through it. Yep. I left there beginning of August. Went into my new job beginning of September. Well, I left around middle of August. I had another job lined up and got called from the better job, and I took that job opportunity. So I had everything lined up, and my head boss got canned the day I went in to put in my notice. And it sort of upset me because sometimes your management's crap. Like my current management, I really like, I really like my current job. I have no qualms. There's people that complain. There's always pros and cons, but I have no qualms, man, because I've come from crap pay, crap jobs. I appreciate my current job. I love it. I got it we're spoiled and I got it made. And if it doesn't work out there, there's always other opportunities. But I'm very happy, and I hope I'm there a while. I really mean that. And we'll talk about that job in another video. But yeah, your typical pros, overtime out the wazoo if you want more money, if you know, holidays, your weekends. You usually had your weekends off, or at least Sundays. That was a big pro, and it was first shift. That was another thing. I always liked first shift and weekends off when I drank. That was another pro. The con, this place had management that had absolutely no idea what they were doing. The head supervisor that came in for almost around 2 years, he had no experience in the industry. And he was a fake it till you make it kind of guy. He just blew smoke left, right, and center, and eventually got let go for it. But to this day, I will say he's probably one of the biggest bullshitters I've ever met in my life, the biggest con artist, and I really mean that. I would listen to what he'd say, but I always knew he was full of shit half the time. I really did. He helped me out in some ways in there with pay and, you know, all that, but in reality, they had no clue. And then the next up guy, the guy right below him, had no spine. People just walked all over him, and he catered to the lazy in there, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. And it was just like it was just way worse than my other jobs, man. It was terrible. And it was so annoying getting my work done and working so hard and just seeing lazy thrive and people stay and work overtime and making more money, and they're doing nothing. Not everybody. There were some good workers. But, man, it's true. When someone's lazy and they're not handled and taken care of or disciplined, they just have other people pick up their slack, and they just let them go. So the harder workers always have to pick up more work. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, and it's true. You know? Don't overachieve. I'm not saying, like, be lazy, but if you overachieve and you're really doing great and your company's not rewarding you for that, do not go out of your way and do other people's jobs, because they're going to expect it. And that's just the truth. I learned this a lot from this place. And this was basically factory work. But yeah, that's ultimately why I left. The management, and a big OSHA violation occurred. Someone lost a limb, part of a limb. And OSHA came in, fined them. They started regulating everything. They took away my pneumatic crimper. They made my job harder. They were running fleets of ridiculous loadouts that made the job so much harder. This is a fact. When my girlfriend and I left, her and I handled the whole day's quota ourselves. Now they have 3 people on first shift doing our job and 1 to 2 at night doing our job. So they've replaced us, 2 workers, with 4 to 5. Okay? And that's your common corporate replacement. You know, everyone's replaceable, but I'm going to damn well say this. We were replaced by more people, and they're paying more money now for that labor output. And I think it's funny. And ever since I left, it's gotten worse and worse and worse, because I have friends and, you know, a relative that still work there. They started mandating like 11, 12-hour days, weekends, and I wouldn't have lasted, because like I need to have some free time. So I already jumped ship beforehand, and it's sort of funny because there's a lot of certified TIG welders in there. They're all trying to get into where I'm at now, and they're getting rejected. And a lot of these guys, they have an ego. You know, they think they're like, they act like they're neurosurgeons, which I find funny. I mean, anyone, no offense to welding, there's very skillful welders, but aluminum welding, there were some dog shit welders in this place. I've seen some horrible welders come through there. People train in-house come through, and they just have an ego about them. And to me, it's always been laughable. But a lot of them are just getting rejected and not getting into my current job, which I find funny. Some of them I'd like to see come in, but a lot of them ran their mouths about it because they got wind of where some of us were going, and they laughed about it until they found out. Like a lot of the pros. And it's funny now. I'm already past my 3 months. I'm out of my probation, got my insurance, got my 401k kicking, which is amazing. It's an amazing 401k where I'm at. But it's just sort of funny how, like, I like, you know, when someone has an ego, everyone has an ego. I do too, but I like seeing it. People get turned down a notch. You know, it's just great. It's just great. It's a very good feeling. But yeah, I had to leave, and primarily because of management, and it's the corporate slavery. Corporate slavery, it exists everywhere, and a lot of people have to deal with it to make a living. But when it gets to the point where it's just like they're just working you to no life, and they're not rewarding you, and they're making cutbacks left, right, and center, and there's just no management, it's game over for me. Like, that company's done. It's done for me. So I had to part ways. I'm not naming any names, but I've been gone for over 3 months, and I will not be going back unless I absolutely had to. And I would honestly go into the oil industry again before I'd go back into metal fab in this factory. So the next video will be about why people leave shit jobs in the workforce. And then we'll talk about my current job, which I have a lot of good things to say. You know, take it easy.